By July 1917, the Germans knew that the Canadians had moved into the line to replace the British near Laon. They also knew the arrival of Canadians meant an attack was imminent. To confuse the enemy as to where the attack would come, General Currie and his staff devised a major raid against German positions near Avion to the south. The raid was to be carried out by the 116th Battalion from the area around Oshawa, Ontario. It was raised and led by Lieutenant Colonel Sam Sharp. He had been a prominent lawyer in the region and was now a member of Parliament. A determined leader, he had recruited friends and the cream of young men throughout his riding near Uxbridge for his newly established battalion. 1 year to the day after they departed from Canada, they were assigned a key role in the preparations for the Battle of Hill 70. We can imagine an enthusiastic Sam Sharp describing the raid.
Well, they know we are coming, but they don't know exactly where. We have been creating confusion all around Lens with our raids and shelling. The key to success at Hill 70 will be to convince the enemy that our objective is indeed Lens. My 116th Battalion was ordered to carry out a major raid on the ruined village of Avion, south of Lens. The goal was to keep the Germans off balance and constantly guessing. My troops trained relentlessly, turning the Avion raid into a miniature Hill 70. For days in advance of the attack, the 116th practiced its tactics and maneuvers on taped-out trench lines. Every man in the battalion at all times knew his own position, where his comrades were, and what his job was. Our task was to get into the German positions behind a railway embankment, destroy their dugouts and trench mortars, take prisoners, generally make a mess, and then get back to the Canadian lines before their reinforcements show up. The raid started at 1 in the morning on July 23rd with a massive artillery barrage. The Germans immediately released poison gas onto the battlefield, forcing the men to stumble through the darkness with limited visibility. Nevertheless, we made it across 300 yards of no man's land, sweeping past the forward defenses and into the German supporting trenches. There was hand-to-hand fighting. Dugouts and strong points were blown up, and observation posts were wrecked. Then we vanished, confusing the enemy. General Currie said that the 116th put on one of the finest raids that has ever been made in France.
The raid was not without its costs. Some men were lost in the trench fighting and others were brought down by German artillery. Finally getting into action, the German guns shelled no man's land, catching a few of the 116th as they scrambled back towards friendly trenches. When the roll call was taken, it was found that 30 Canadian soldiers were killed, and another 40 were wounded or missing. In spite of the losses, the raid was deemed a great success in helping to keep the Germans off balance. As for Colonel Sharp, the battalion's greatly admired leader, he too became a casualty, although months later. The horrors of battle and emotional toll of losing friends and neighbors eventually led to a breakdown. He was sent first to England and then to Montreal for treatment of nervous shock. Colonel Sharp committed suicide at the hospital May 1918. Reports said he simply could not bear the thought of returning to Uxbridge to face the families of the fallen.